Hello, Justice Warriors. Good afternoon, Annie, Granny Annie, and J.R. Anna Boomer. How are you guys if you're still here? I see your comments are from a few minutes ago. Well, like 20 minutes ago. So before. So I'm so happy to be on, you guys. I have just had one rough day after another. Oh, Granny Annie, you are so loyal and faithful. I love it. Thank you kindly for being here. How are you today? Are you back in Vegas or are you down in Cabo? If you want to share. I'm still here in Ohio, right outside of Springfield. That's where I be. That's where I live. And yeah, JLR has been boots on the ground in the city of Springfield. And then he went to Pennsylvania, maybe for a minute, I think. Yeah, and then he went to Charleston, West Virginia, the capital of West Virginia, and I've been there too. That's a very sad place. It's even worse than Springfield, honestly. It's really sad. I can tell you guys about it. I think I did once, but anyway, yeah, then there's that place down in Kentucky where the sheriff shot the judge, Annie Nanny, Granny Annie. I shot the sheriff, but no, the sheriff shot the judge. I wanted to share with you guys, I forgot in my last live, that sheriff has been allegedly the focus of multiple investigations. Remember, I had said that he was probably upset with the judge over some cases or something, questioning him. But I had found out that it was multiple investigations into that sheriff. So I don't know much about it yet. I don't know if he was like put on a paid administrative leave. That can make some people go a little nutty, having too much time on their hands. But typically, when somebody in law enforcement is under investigation, that's the first thing that happens is they get put onto a administrative paid leave. And it's not like a vacation, because you're going to be over here sweating bullets and, having bricks come out of your rear end. So anyway, let's go over the basics. And thanks so much for being here, Annie. And thank you, JR Nana, if you are still here as well. Let's please hit your like button if you be so kind. Make sure you're still subscribed if you are subscribed. And if you're not subscribed, please consider just hitting that button. I need about 1 million more subs, and then I'm going to be at 1 million subs, right? Share a video of mine if you like with just one person. That's all it takes. It just all starts right with one. Everything does. One foot in front of the other. Turn on your bell to notify you if you want to be notified when I come on live and stuff like that. And then let me do my disclaimer quickly so I don't forget. Everything I say is simply my opinion for the sake of hoping to start a conversation, open up a discussion, learn something, be educational. All my videos are made for YouTube. It's an entertainment platform. Where to begin? Should I tell you guys my health status? Because that's very relevant. I still have this eustachian tube thing, vestibule. So I just got referred to an ENT specialist. And man, they couldn't get me in for an appointment for 2 months. Yeah, almost 2 months. And I'm like, really? I'm suffering over here. I've been at the doctor like almost every other day on average for about the last 4 weeks. And I'm like, what can I do to try to get in on a cancellation? If a new patient cancels and you have enough space to take a new patient, can you put me on your wait list for that? And they said, no, we can't put you on the wait list for that, but you can call every day at 8:30 in the morning and see if there's been any cancellations on new patient appointments. And I was like, all right, I'll be calling you every morning, 8:30 in the morning. So that's going to be the way I start every day until I get in, even if I don't get in until the middle of November. Holy crap, you guys. So I've been super sick. This is why you haven't seen me. You've probably put 2 and 2 together, right? So what will happen is I'll have a couple of good days, like today, fingers crossed, and then I'll have a couple of bad days where it's just like a no good, really bad, awful kind of thing. And yeah, it's all with the inner ear. So we finally have rain, but it's sort of a day late and a dollar short. That, I mean, it's still good. We need the rain for lots of other reasons outside of my dry eardrum or membrane, whatever it is. So, yeah, the rain is helping, but it's not going to undo what's already been done. The infection is gone, so at least that's cleared. I don't have to do any more steroids. I don't have to do any more antibiotics. But now I'll probably just have to do like a whole bunch of like the Epley maneuver type of stuff, but like the upgraded stuff with the ENT specialist. But in the meantime, I get to just suffer through it. And then they'll probably refer me to a physical therapist that then I'll get to go and wait another 6 weeks until Christmas before I get to see them, right? Or maybe not until January. Holy smokes, our system is so messed up. I mean, I am educated. We have good insurance and you know, we're established. We are stable. We are, we have everything on our side for the healthcare system to work for us, and it still doesn't work. It's terrible. I mean, imagine the people who have no insurance, no ability to pay, no primary care physician, because you have to go through your primary care physician. I mean, most of those people just have to go through the ER. It's awful. Or just suffer. I mean, it's hideous. Anyway, I'm setting my tea down. This is the best tea in the world. It is mint medley. All right. You might have noticed the, what do you call it? The thumbnail that I used. Hopefully my brain will get firing. The thumbnail that I used for today's video is, I found, yeah, they go to the ER. I know, isn't it sad? Annie, Granny Annie, like that movie As Good as It Gets, and the little boy who's got like severe health issues and he just has to go to the ER all the time. What was I going to say about the thumbnail? George's Folly, you guys. If you don't know George's Folly or you don't know what I'm talking about, that's the name of the store on Harvard Square, Cambridge, Massachusetts, that I was trying to think of a video or two ago when I was sort of bragging, and I have to apologize, but sorry, not sorry. I'm extremely pleased and satisfied with the galleries that my mother got my artwork into and the galleries and boutiques that I got my art into. George's Folly was this weird little quirky store on the corner of, here, I wrote it all down because I went there once, but my mom got us in there. And I wouldn't have thought that that would have been a place where I would have wanted my stuff, because it was just kind of like a madhouse. It's like on the corner of this like open air building. And it seemed really chaotic, but it was nice. The people in there were really nice. And it's just like this classic kind of oddity boutique clothing and probably a bunch of tchotchke kind of stuff, but kind of high end. Or, I mean, it's freaking Cambridge, so everything in Cambridge is high end. I remember paying like $40 for some hummus, and I'm not even kidding you. And this was in like the late 80s. Yeah, it was $40 for hummus and pita, and maybe like some type of coffee or tea. But that was just for me and my boyfriend, and it was over $40. And we're sitting there on Harvard Square, and I was just like, this is ridiculous, paying $40 for pita and hummus. And he's like, yeah, but look where we are. And I'm looking around like, yeah, with all the freaking snobs, like who freaking cares? But, I'm glad that we went there. I'm glad that I know what it's like. And I was really happy to go into George's Folly and learn about that store. So it's on Brattle Street in Brookline, Old Cambridge, and all this stuff for anybody who's been there. It's like very iconic. And So fortunately, I've had the experience of being there once. And I love that about my life, that I have had the good fortune to have visited a lot of these places at least once, if not multiple times. So, Fred Field, hello. Did I miss anything? No notification. Oh, I'm so sorry. No, you did not miss anything yet. So I'm going to talk for a second about Charleston, um, West Virginia, because I went there with my sister a handful of years ago, maybe 5 years ago. She had a big federal court case that she was involved in, and her attorney had to travel in to Charleston, West Virginia, and it seems like it's going to be a pretty city because the architecture is beautiful. It's on the river, it's the state capital, and it is pretty on the surface, except that it is even more of a ghost town than Springfield, Ohio. It is seriously a ghost town. And every billboard that I saw and every television commercial that I saw was about rehab and fentanyl overdoses and halfway houses. And I'm not exaggerating. The place was a ghost town. And I spoke with people there, like the servers in the restaurant. You know, we stayed at the really nice, I think it was like a Stouffer's hotel. There was a few of the whatever brand hotel it was, Sheridan or something. There was a few of them in town, but this was the only one that had like a police guard 24/7. So it was the only one we felt safe enough to stay in. And I'm not kidding you. There was a police car parked in front of it 24/7. And even with that, there was still crime. So we would just eat at the restaurant there. We didn't venture out much at all, barely at all. We tried and we got like spooked and went back to that same restaurant. And without trying to sound snobby or anything like that, you know, I would strike up conversations with the servers, with the staff, and, you know, just be honest with them and ask them questions about their city because I was really curious. And they were like, well, what's your impression? And I was like, well, it looks to me like everyone's died of an overdose. And they were like, yep, pretty much. Yeah. Some things you need to experience once. Well, so let me tell you a little bit more about Springfield because that's been in the news a lot. And the only reason I'm bringing up Charleston is because that's where JLR is today. And he was doing a live. I don't know what took him to that city, but he was kind of showing in his live that I saw the same experience that I had 5 years ago. It's really a sad, sad state of affairs. And that is pretty typical for West Virginia. It's, you know, part of the Appalachians. It's very economically depressed. The industry of coal has been hit hard. The substance abuse has gone through the ceiling, through the roof. So that's similar to Springfield, Ohio, except Springfield, Ohio was not a coal mining industry. I shared with you guys a couple videos ago. It was a publishing industry, is what the city of Springfield, Ohio is built on. So obviously, things have gone digital. So there's not a lot of publishing, and there's all these big, beautiful warehouse buildings that have been empty for decades. And the city, I looked these up because I'm a nerd with population. I always am fascinated. The city of Springfield at its largest population was about 82,000. And that was probably from the 60s through the 80s-ish. And then over the next 20 years, from the 80s and the 90s, it went to about half that. It went to 50,000 because of the loss of jobs and other reasons too. It's never been a nice city. There's nice stuff in the city. There's some Frank Lloyd Wright stuff. There's Wittenberg University. There's a nice little art museum. There's a lot of natural limestone and a nice outdoor park with an outdoor amphitheater where they do really top quality performances, and they're all free to the public. It's all paid for by like the Arts Commission of Springfield. Oh, and John Legend. John Legend is from Springfield. So that's nice. That's really cool. But it has always been a more economically depressed, even in its heyday. It's a very much of a kind of lower middle working class kind of uh, population, like microcosm of our American country. It's, kind of in the lower echelon, and a lot of drugs and a lot of alcohol, and that's at its best. So when the population nearly cut in half and the jobs weren't there, and I mean, you could buy a house, like a big house in downtown Springfield, you guys, this was just like 20 years ago, for like $7,000, like four digits, not 17, not 70, but 7000. $7,000 could buy you a house, the entire house, the whole kit and caboodle, and nice architecture. But the problem was the neighborhood and the danger and the crime. Like, you wouldn't want to live there, but you might want to fix it up and rent it out to legal migrants. I mean, so that's pretty much what King George, this character in Springfield, has done. He's the owner of the, what do you call it? The employment agency. And I'll link JLR's videos where he's talking about all this stuff, and then I'll get on with it, because I don't think we're that fascinated with it, except for the fact that you probably are going to keep hearing about Springfield, because the candidates of the party that started this whole cats and dogs thing have promised that they're going to be swooping in on Springfield within the week, and they're not welcome. The city of Springfield, the population there, like the grassroots and the administrative leadership politicians, they've all begged them not to come. They're like, please don't come. There's so much chaos in our city already from the whole cat and dog thing. They're getting bomb threats and live shooter threats from overseas. I think they've had like 30 at least in the last couple of weeks. And I've mentioned this, that the schools are not doing classes. It's like COVID all over again. They're doing everything online. That's Wittenberg University. That's the elementary school, junior high school, and high school. The businesses have had to close. It's already a ghost town, but now it's like on lockdown pretty much. I mean, people are terrified, and hopefully it won't come to any more drama. Hopefully it can just all die down, water under the bridge, and nothing to see over here, folks. Let's move it right along. But they've made that promise or threat multiple times over the last week. So you guys know I try to stay out of politics, but it's getting to be more and more impossible. And again, I'll say sorry, not sorry. I need to speak my truth. I need to be straightforward with you guys. And Ohio, I've said this, OSU, Ohio has been a very red state for a very long time, but even the Republicans are like, hell no. So that's just the way it is. We'll see what happens in the election. And, with all this illness that I've had with the vertigo, part of it is like, I'm like, am I just like toxic from the freaking presidential election campaign situation? Because I can't survive another 43 days or however many days there is left between now and the last day to vote. But I can. But that feels toxic. All of the cases on YouTube with all of the bogus information and fake witnesses and fake news, I'll just say it. That's toxic. Like, the cases are toxic. Some of the content creators are toxic. I'm just like done with all the toxicity. I really am. I don't have any tolerance. There's no space for it in my life. Remember what was it, 20 years ago? Ain't nobody got time for that. I think that was like a woman in Milwaukee that went viral. Ain't nobody got time for that. Who knows? Who remembers? We could Google it. So anyway, some things you need to experience once. Yeah, I love that I've been to almost every single state in our country. I've been to a lot of the cities, a lot. Um, haven't been much outside of our country. I've been through Canada a little bit, Mexico, and I've not gone across the pond yet. And I don't know that I will. I mean, as much as I love checking places out, I do have a tendency towards motion sickness. And then with all this vertigo stuff, I don't know if that's just going to make it that much worse. Watching the world drift away. Woohoo! Nice to see you. So, yeah, I've been doing my yoga as much as I can without pushing it too far. And I know that my viewership is going to be just devastated that I haven't been videotaping my yoga. I'm thinking it's probably good, right? It's like when I do it, I'm kind of shaky with it. Like I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do my whole routine or just part of the routine because I might be feeling nauseous or I get really clammy and sweaty sometimes. But I just haven't been recording it. And I'm sure nobody gives a flying F about that. Like I said, it's probably better that I don't. I should stop recording them. It kind of served its purpose. But I like having my routine and I love doing my lives, and I'm really happy to be here right now. And let's talk about this stuff because you guys, the Jen Soto, Madeline Soto, I try and I try and I try not to look at that train wreck. I mentioned in my last live that I believe that Madeline was pregnant, that she got pregnant when she was 12, and that is what caused her to be fatally victimized. And I believe that more than ever. And I'm not even paying attention to the case, but you guys can tell me if you're paying attention to the case, because it seems to me that that's kind of where all the indicators are pointing. And me and my conspiracy theory, I'm thinking that in a few days, it's going to be like, the general consensus, like, yeah, she was pregnant at 12 and then right after her 13th birthday. And they're in Florida, which, you can't do a therapeutic termination of a pregnancy, even in a situation like that in Florida. You can before 6 weeks, I think, but not after 6 weeks. And most people aren't going to know until after 6 weeks. But I think all the questions about her cycle and all the texting between the mom and the freak, the El Disgusto freak, about her cycle, I don't think any of that would be a thing if it weren't a thing. So this is my conspiracy theory, though, is I'm afraid that A, it wasn't documented, or B, it's going to be covered up because it's too grisly and the general public just can't handle it. What do you guys think? I don't know, because I'm not paying attention to the case. So maybe I'm on and maybe I'm not. I've told you I've watched Ninja Chihuahua, like one, her most recent Maddie Soto one, and maybe two Plunders, and that's about it. I mean, I have really steered clear. I think I did watch a grizzly about it, a long grizzly that had a lot of packed with information. But really, this whole year, that's about it. I've really, to me, that one is extra toxic. It reminds me of a friend that I had who unalived herself when she was 19. I told you guys stories about my friend, and she was abused from the time probably when she was like 2. I don't know exactly, but it seems that Maddie was probably abused from about the time that she was 6 by the scumbag that's in prison for it right now, or in jail. He's not in prison. But man, I think her mom knew everything. I think her mom needs to go down. And if she did get like a amnesty kind of thing, if she's lying, then that goes away, right? Um, you might need those crystals rattle in your ears. You might need those crystals rattle in your ears. Yeah, it's that little, it sounds so weird, but yeah, it's like a little salt crystal in your ear in the eustachian tube that's supposed to be right where it's supposed to be. And if it's moved, you have to get it back there. So there's like the Epley maneuver, and then there's a whole bunch of other, like, more expert maneuvers than the Epley. The Epley is one you can do on your own, but you still need to be careful with it. But if you go to a professional, they can do a lot more. So I've gone to my primary care physician and I've gone to my chiropractor, and they both have been very helpful. Um, yeah, they test my blood pressure every time I go in. Oh, Granny Annie, I thought I was dizzy, took blood pressure, and that was the problem for me. Yeah, I haven't actually been dizzy. And even with the ear situation, I get woozy, kind of like the motion sickness, but I don't get dizzy. And I'm not like passing out or feeling like I'm going to pass out. Um, just feeling nauseous, basically. Yes, I believe that too. A girl at school seemed to notice Maddie didn't need product. That's interesting. So you've been paying a lot of attention to it, Granny Annie. I would imagine that most people have, because I mean, Maddie does deserve our attention for sure. To me, it's just too painful. It's just, I want to throw up and I want to like unalive the people that are responsible. I mean, I get really protective of little kids, and she should be here. She should be living her life. And what sick freaks. Absolutely sick freaks. Um, yes, I believe that too. Okay. Florida just made it harder to terminate. Yeah, Ron DeSantos is a POS. Let me just say that straight up, Granny Annie. He's the worst. He is absolutely the worst, in my humble opinion. Like, he can just step off. He's really bad. He's really bad. I personally think Mom and Stephen Smith, I know I'm thinking Scammy, were making dark web videos, and she did get pregnant. I totally can see that watching The World. My mind has went there. I've wondered about that. Because why wouldn't they, if they're already sick and twisted and they've got all these Disney connections? And I like Disney, but I know that Disney can attract those types. So it's extremely profitable. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. But yeah, I pretty much assume that every crime is videotaped these days, you guys. I mean, if you commit a red rum, there's no proof that you did it or you made the video just because you have a video of it. And then there's ways to block your VPN and all that. But you can get millions of dollars for those types of videos on the dark web. Also, the pedo type, huge, disgusting industry. And, you look at these freaks like JP Diddy or P Diddy, and yeah, they're all into that stuff. They're all into exploiting people and violating people and cashing in. And what would stop them? She was early, but maybe wouldn't do it. I personally think Mom and SS were making dark web. Yeah. Privacy will be cited, but not wanting to be political. If she were 14 weeks, I feel they would pounce. But since she could before 12 weeks, yeah, I know. And that is like the hot ticket item that people get very passionate about. And, I mean, I love babies, absolutely love babies, and I fully believe in a woman's right to choose, 100%. And if people are upset with me over that, so be it. But it's not something I want to deliberate on my channel. And I when I said something about it the other day on my channel, because I went there. It's like nobody wants to do that. People always act like, oh, there's these people that just love having those procedures. No, nobody ever wants to have that procedure. It's sort of like, you're between a rock and a hard place. And many people in that position would unalive their kid or unalive themselves when that's going to unalive two. Why not unalive one and, take care of yourself, especially in situations of violation. Let's see. Mom was being paid, in my opinion, $350 for Botox. Yeah. 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 She seemed like such a loser from the get go. And then, yeah. And then Steven. Ugh. Gross. Gross, gross, gross. Just started a job. She canceled appointment, likely because she knew it would look bad. Well, and also because when this happened, she was probably really nervous about everything, and she wouldn't want to go to an appointment where she's going to be, people are going to have close eyes on her, and they might notice if she's nervous. They might ask her how things have been in her life, what's going on, how's your daughter, and then she's like, oh, I gotta go. So yeah, just don't show up to begin with. I was sudden throwing up. Periocarditis. Did I say it right? Periocarditis. Ugh, yuck. Yeah, I hate throwing up. It's the worst. It is the worst. Fred Field says, I agree. Maddie had mentioned on a teen site that she thought she was, and Stephen, posing as a teen, said she should talk to a trusted adult. She adult Stephen. Yeah, I know something about that, Fred, from probably a Paula Plunder video or maybe from that ninja video. Stephen may not have wanted it out in history. Right. If she had the procedure done, they would know that she was active, and he would probably go down in flames. And if she didn't have the procedure done, they would know she was active, and he would probably go down in flames. And either way, with or without the procedure, they could do a DNA test. So he needed to erase her, basically. I mean, he's just a sick monster. He's the sickest kind of monster. And so is the mom, because I think she was 100% part of it from start to finish, bottom to top. Sorry, my thing is a little bit wobbly. I don't know if you guys can notice. I'll try to have it not wobble when I touch the thing. Where are we? Oh, Granny Annie says, yes, paying a lot of attention, because if FBI will listen, I will repeat in popular channels. The finances of Steven Stearns and Jen S. do not math. She was paid $2. SS drove 2.5 hours to sleep with Maddie. I did not realize that he lived that far away. Was that one way or round trip? Oh, how disgusting. I thought he still lived nearby. How extra disgusting. And then, were they turning her out for other people that were willing to pay? I mean, I think that's what was going on with John Benet Ramsey. I think that could be a thing in the Micah Miller case. That was certainly a thing with P. Diddy's victims, Kim Porter, his deceased wife, and Cassie, the one who filed the lawsuit that got all of his disgusting habits, shall we say, crimes outed. Let's see. Exactly. He wasn't working and she wasn't working, but they had money. Right. Right. And, living in Orlando, that's there's a huge fraction of that. Every time there's a big bust of traffickers, there's always a faction of that bust. Like if it's like 200 people that are taken down in a child trafficking ring, at least 5 or 10 of them work at Disney, right? I mean, again, I like Disney a lot, but I don't like that. They need to be more vigilant. And if they're not being more vigilant, then that's on them. And I don't think they're being that vigilant, so I do think it's on them. It's gross. Like that's a whole political discussion too. Gross. So I just watched the most recent 2020. Have you guys watched that? It's really sad about a doctor up in Ketchikan, Alaska, who was terminated by his sugar baby. So he was a sugar daddy to the scumbag from Seattle. It's the most recent 2020, if you're interested. It's just heartbreaking. The guy seemed like such a sweet man. And, Ketchikan's such a small town, 8,000, which I've been to Ketchikan, and it doesn't even seem like it's 8,000. It seems more like 2. It's a tiny town. Let's see. Mom tracked her cycle, and she knew she missed February. Right. That's what I figured was going on. And why would mom be tracking her cycle? I mean, a 12-year-old can track her own cycle. I know this because I have a 12-year-old who does that. There's apps. It's easy. When I was a kid, we had to do it all on paper, and it was kind of complicated. But now with these apps, it's super easy. Jen had the cash for Botox, couldn't buy her kid a birthday gift, was at training day of party. SS did not attend the party, just the personal party after. Oh man, I know, it's so freaking sad. And she looks so happy. Maddie does in those pictures with her grandmother in her blue dress by the lake with her like scarf and everything. Yeah, I didn't know that mom was at a training. I knew she was at a new job. And, they could have scheduled the party at another time since it wasn't even the day of her birthday. They could have scheduled it at a time when mom could have gone, but obviously mom didn't give a damn, right? Let's see. I know a gal that had 5 and gave birth to 5. Wow. Yeah, so she'd been knocked up 10 times. That's a lot. That's a lot. Miscarriages too. People don't talk about that. I mean, I'll be frank. I've had 3 miscarriages. I didn't have any until after I had, yeah, I'm on a live.
I need to be there at 4:20.
Okay. We'll leave in about 20 minutes or less. Okay. Sorry, you guys. And yeah, so I had 3 kids, and then we were trying to have that one, the one that needs a ride to her volleyball. And we had 3 miscarriages in a row after having 3 healthy babies. So that was really hard. But, that's another thing people don't talk about. It's extremely taboo, which is very sad because you don't need to go through it alone. Right? I mean, you just don't. And then when people like lose a baby, like I think John Legend and his wife had like a stillbirth or a baby that died right after being born. And it's just so taboo. And it's great that they were talking about it publicly. I can't imagine anything worse than that. I mean, miscarriages are horrible and devastating and traumatic and physically hard too. But I was in a position where I already had 3 beautiful children. So I recovered emotionally and psychologically quickly, like overnight. Like for 24 hours, I was about as depressed as I could possibly be. And then I just was like back to my old self. But physically is another story. It takes a lot out of you. It takes a lot out of you. Um, let's see. 2 prego tests in the bathroom. Oh, we're there watching the world. 2 that were unused or used? If you can answer that question, I'll try to get caught up. Jen had the cash for Botox, couldn't buy her kid a birthday gift. Oh, I'm so glad that I caught the one right before it because I had already caught that one, but I had missed that one. Let's see. Jazz, I completely agree with the latter. If you can't stop yourself, stop yourself. No right to end a child's future. Yeah, yeah. Um, she canceled because she had to help SS get the story right and clean the scene. Oh, there you go, watching the world. And, maybe that's why she wanted the party to be when she was working too. They probably plotted it out, and she probably couldn't sit through a birthday party with her daughter that she knew she was going to be part of the demise. Oh, yeah, watching the world. Yeah, I might be getting roped into the Maddie Soto case, huh? Ugh. Especially if the mainstream media is going to try to pretend that she wasn't preggers if she was preggers. Is that a thing, you guys? I'll try to get all caught up to where you guys are because I'm like 10 minutes behind, and then I'm going to have to wrap up shortly after that. But hopefully we'll be able to do another one tomorrow. Thanks for being here, you guys. That poor little girl, 12. I cannot imagine how scary that would be. My bonus for her 12th birthday, her stepdad began assaulting her. We got custody. Oh, Granny Annie. Wow. Yeah, step parents can be vile, but also biological parents too. I mean, Jen's the biological, and Casey Anthony was the biological. One way, mom either knew or was so drugged up that she slept through it. Well, and that might have been intentional, so she'd have an alibi. And I'm guessing that they plotted it. That's just a guess, and I'm afar because I haven't looked at much of the case. But then what I have seen, of course, is like the live footage of some of, Paula's stuff is almost all raw footage. And then Ninja is more of reporting and opinion. I mean, Paula puts her opinion in there too. And I like that. I want to know what people's opinions are. I do like seeing the live footage, though, or the actual documents, so I can make my own decisions about what I think of it. That's why I try to share that stuff with you guys too, since I don't do all the technology with it on screen. I try to show it to you on paper or the thumbnail or a community post. I know I'm terrible with that. Let's see. My little girl didn't have pen in, but thought might be pregnant, gave her quarters. She thought she was pregnant. Hooker at 12, sad. Oh, Annie, that would be so hard to deal with. I went to school with 2 sisters that were both pregnant at 12 and 13 by the same person. Their father was a real treat. Holy crap. And did they have the babies? And was it known? I mean, that's what's so disgusting. And then people don't get put in prison. Not by their father. Okay. But their father maybe was turning them out or something, or compliant. Mom's text that she needed to stop sleeping with, couldn't risk it. Right. That one is what really threw me. The couldn't risk it one. Can't risk it. And the police officer asking about that. So that was in one of Paula Plunder's videos. The police officer asked her, what did you mean when you said you couldn't risk it? You couldn't risk what? And she just blew right through it. She was like, I don't know, nothing. So that, I thought that was what really tipped me off. In my opinion, was video or something of acts. She wanted Maddie's body disintegrated in my appointment, tried to mislead. I think she played to DNA. Right. Didn't they cremate her? And did they do pregnancy determination before they cremated her? I sure as F hope they did. Yes, Annie, in June 23. It happens more often than people realize. Yeah, I mean, I've talked about that movie Chinatown a lot because the Chinatown movie from I think it's 1972 with Jack Nicholson and Faye Dunaway is so much like the Kylie Rodney case, and this is from 50 years ago. But Faye Dunaway plays a character who I think she was the child of her mother and her mother's father, or something like that, or she had a baby that was with her father, but I think she was the child anyway. And you know, I really wonder WTF with Kylie Rodney's case. I know there's all these documents that have come out, and it's so much effery. For instance, I'll just throw one thing in there. On one of the reports, it said that she was found at the bottom of Lake Prosser, and I'm just like, bottom of Lake Prosser? If you call the shoreline and 14 feet the bottom of the lake, then you're an idiot. But I think that that's how everything in that case is. And then saying that she was like going a high rate of speed when her car entered the water. I mean, it's not even funny. That case is so effing twisted. It's so much like Chinatown, you guys. You got to watch that movie. I was going to say read the book. I don't know. It probably is a book, but I haven't read the book. I only saw the movie. Not by their father. Okay, I'm getting caught up, so then we can wrap her up and I can get my kid to her thing. Where are we? Definitely happens more often than people realize. Watching, yes, very hard. She is homeless, rug addicted, turning tricks, did well until pandemic. Oh, how sad. How sad. I'm so sorry. Yeah, a lot of, you know, people want to stay high so that they can try to disassociate from it. And then they reenact the abuse so that they can try to get their power back by reenacting it. I mean, it's a deep psychological process. Let's see. Just heard yesterday that 2 tests were found in bathroom during search. I don't know if they were used or not, or if, let's see. Sorry. Or if they are proof or not. Could be why law enforcement questioned mom about cycle. Yeah. Planned okay, because for him to pretend to drive her, she could not be too gray as past. Oh, that is so insane. Like propping her up in the car. I mean, these are some sick, twisted people, like way beyond sick and twisted. So yeah, trying to get her out into the general population so it'll look like it could have been anybody and it happened after they took her somewhere else. Oh, and they dropped her off at the church next to the school, and so it happened between the church and the school. Like, good try, MF. Good effing try. Yes, 2 close friends. Dad started writing them at age 5. Oh, Granny, Annie. That is why I talk so people see it happens in any bracket, any socioeconomic bracket for sure. And some of the more elite socioeconomic brackets, probably even more than others. I mean, so common it is sick. And yeah, I mean, 5, like I said, my friend, it was probably 2. Hey, Sherry Irvin, nice to see you. If I'm saying your last name right, it's always a challenge. It looks pretty straightforward, but I usually don't risk it. I just say Sherry. And yes, very flirtatious around my men. and then letting Jen use the car with Maddie and trunk. I did not catch that part yet, Fred. Holy F. Whoa. Oh my goodness. And she probably knew. Did she know? Did he want her to get caught with it back there? Did he want her to find it, or did she know? You did good with name. Oh, very cool. Good. All right, you guys. So let me try to read a little bit and then wrap up. So I was really pleased with my last video, except for the fact that I wanted to talk about Meredith Kircher, the Foxy Noxy victim, Meredith Kircher. I like to call it the Meredith Kircher case rather than the Amanda Knox case. I wanted to talk about that, so I'm going to have to put that off until the next video or another one soon because I'm out of time for today just about. But I did want to say on a non-political level, like, why is this whole campaign and election all about the cats? Like the eating the cats and the dogs, the childish cat ladies. Like, have the cats taken over or something? I mean, seriously. Like, there was other stuff with cats, too. Do you guys remember? Like, I've never seen animals be such a strong component of a campaign. It's pretty odd. And do they realize they're doing that, or do they not realize it? Do they just keep going back to the cats by accident? I mean, it's almost like an obsession with felines, in my humble opinion. So we're going to go ahead and get caught up with you guys again and then sign off. I apologize at having to be so short, but hey, it's already 50 minutes. My last one was over 2 hours. It was super long. But man, hopefully I can do a live tomorrow if I'm still feeling this good. So thanks for being here, you guys. Thank you kindly. Yeah, she knew, canceled her Botox, right? And yeah, why would you cancel Botox when you got to get pretty, you got to get pretty, right? And she probably had to wait a long time for that appointment. She claims she did not know but notice odor. Oh, come on. That smell is unmistakable. And I unfortunately have smelled it this tiniest amount, and it's unfreaking mistakable. And then in a closed car, that's like Casey Anthony and her freaking rotten pizza in the trunk story, right? Especially in Florida. Come on. I mean, it's like thousands of degrees in these cars if they're parked in the sun. Tell daughter good luck at volleyball. Yeah, she's really cute. She loves to play, and I'll get to sit there and watch her. Fortunately, I'm feeling well enough because there's times that I haven't been well enough to watch her games. Botox was supposedly for medical reasons, right? I'm sure it was. She didn't know Maddie was missing until after school. It was her day off. See, I don't believe that. I think that it was plotted out. I think that's why she didn't want to see Maddie at her birthday party because, she felt conflicted. It was 4 hours. She could smell something. That's so gross. Again, it's Florida. It's the summer in Florida. Unbelievable. Okay, on that, you guys, I'm going to say thank you so much for being here. Love and light and so much appreciation. Hit that thumbs up if you don't mind. It's much appreciated. It does so much for the algorithm of the channel. And on the replay crew, I appreciate you guys just as much. You don't need to be here live to get all of the appreciation, that's for sure. And hopefully I'll be able to do a live a little bit earlier tomorrow. And yeah, I'll see you then. I hope you have a really good afternoon. Drink your water, eat your protein, get some exercise, fruits and veggies, chillax, and just keep it real, right? Glad to catch a live. So happy to see you, Drift Away. And I'm glad you put Drift Away in parentheses so I know it's you. All right, you guys. Much love. Take it easy. See you soon. Thanks again.